picked Steve Harvey as the representative for all things black. Steve Harvey, let's keep this shit funky. Steve Harvey is on his third marriage. His third wife was mistress to his second wife. Yet, black people have anointed this the oracle when it comes to black dating. This nigga wrote a book on dating. You on your third wife, homie. With all respect, why can we pick a that nobody talking about?
Think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie. That was disturbing. With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that I was finding out about. I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it. He left. He just left, walked out the door. Once he realized that I was going to divorce him, he walked out the door. He had a shoulder bag. He walked out. Went right to New York, to our apartment that we had there, which I never got to see, by the way. And then she joined him there. Marjorie joined him there. Never an apology. Steve never said that he...
Check, listen, who cares if Steve Harvey writes 1,000 books on dating? Mrs. Marjorie Harvey should be giving advice on fencing because she found a lick and held on to him for dear life, gave birth to her children and grandchildren, and ensured that they would have a lifetime of wealth in the future. Given the way Lori Harvey switches between men, people have been wondering exactly what her mother taught her. If you want to know, you should speak with Steve's ex-wife, Mary Lee, as she has been on Mars' neck for years, exposing all the tumultuous details of the turbulent period when she and Marjorie were fighting over Steve. From the way she began until she eventually got Steve in her back pocket, giving her the finest presents money could buy, it's clear that Marjorie and Steve were ultimately meant to be. Before his career really took off and the money started rolling in, Steve utilized both Mary Lee and his first wife, Marcia, as stand-ins. From her corner, Myra was doing the exact same thing now from. She was known on the streets as Lady Heroine when she was around 18. I didn't make that up, you know. Anyway, Marjorie was out there selling drugs to drug dealers, and she wasn't dealing with the little Tim. Oh no, Marjorie knew that she wanted the luxury life, the expensive vacations, the fancy restaurants, and the fancy clothes, and she only bothered with men who could afford to give it to her. When she started dating big-time drug dealer Jim Townsend, Marjorie knew he was madly married. In fact, he had told her so. That he didn't want any more children because he already had enough, but Jim underestimated what Margie would do to get that bag. She kept seeing him, and once he became a little too comfortable, Margie stopped taking their birth control pills without telling Jim anything. You can only imagine how shocked he was when she appeared one day with a smile on her face and a bun in the oven. While she was with Jim, Marjorie really got herself involved in the Memphis drug scene, which is when people began referring to her as Lady Heroine. When she was pregnant with their second child, Jim learned that the feds were coming for him and that he wouldn't be able to escape this time. They had concrete proof that he was moving weight, and even worse, they had proof of his brother's and Marjorie's involvement in the organization. As a result, he decided to accept a plea deal so that Marguerite and his brother could move on with their lives. She had to leave the University of Memphis because her reputation was so bad that she couldn't even face continuing classes.
Well, they did indict her because, I made a deal with him, not to let you be mindful. At this particular time, you got busted. You want to call it get busted.
Okay.
They showed me, the transactions between Marjorie and people that I knew they weren't lying. The people that, she had sold you know. So anyway, she 8 months pregnant. We got a 5-year-old daughter, so there was no way whatever I could do to keep her from going to prison and being indicted. And see, I know how this feels.
Jim was placed under lock and key for 5 years before being finally condemned to life in prison. After drying her eyes, Marjorie began searching for the next exciting buzz on the street. She might have even dated NBA player Todd Day, who assisted her in buying a club that Jim owned as a present for Marjorie. However, she was unable to manage it and had to sell it again. We do know that she was married to one of the notorious Wood brothers, so she didn't remain single for long. She and Darnell Woods had a daughter named Lri shortly after the feds arrived to look for Darnell as well and discovered evidence of their family's drug use. Was charged and went to the John for 37 months. Marjorie decided she couldn't wait for a convicted felon to return home, so she promptly divorced him and was prepared to find a new partner. Listen, everyone gets away with it, but it's not a coincidence that 2 ex-cons are husbands. I'm just saying that when she got divorced from Darnell in the early 2000s, Marge's lavish lifestyle began to appear a little risky and unstable, so she focused all of her attention on the comedian who always wore pimp clothes. Steve Harvey continued to ride the enormous wave of performing the kings of comedy, and he was truly everywhere, bringing in a lot of money, unlike when they first met when he was a struggling comedian performing at local comedy clubs. However, Marjorie was unable to enter his circle in that way because Steve was still married to Mary Lee. So it is said that she began dating Steve's bodyguard, Big Boom. Steve was never really her type in the first place. But as time went on, Marjorie realized that things were better on Steve's side, and their relationship began to wane. Gradually, however, she managed to put herself in Steve's sights, rekindling the old crush he had on her. And Steve took good care of her while she was playing the mistress, and Marjorie remained steadfast even when Steve's second wife, Mary, learned about her. In the end, Mary realized she was losing the fight because you can't take a man who doesn't want to be taken. Mary suffered as a result of Steve's obsession with Marjorie after he made her his main girl. Steve ended all communication with Mary and began the divorce process. Marjorie even became so brazen as to call Steve's house knowing that Mary would answer, only to inform her that she was with Steve and that there was nothing Mary could do about it.
Yeah, see her as the best image for what he was trying to do, you see. And but who knows his mindset, you know, but cause like I said, she ain't just that bright, but she's shrewd.
But she ain't the brightest person in the world.
No, but she's shrewd. I gotta give her that.
Okay.
And so.
And she was excellent at taking her.
Yeah. The record speaks.
When Margie and Steve finally got married, that's when she really took over. She gradually convinced her kids, even the ones who weren't minors anymore, to adopt Steve's last name because it would undoubtedly lead to better opportunities for them. She even convinced Steve to give Mary custody of his youngest son. To this day, Mary hasn't been able to rebuild a strong relationship with her only child with him. However, Steve was aware of the kind of past Margie had before she married him, and despite his fame, he began helping her to clear her name, resolve her past problems, and pay off a lot of her debts from her time on the Memphis scene. Marjorie, miss. She's not a gold digger. She's one of the greatest scammers I've ever encountered. It seems like she's been passed around far more than a collection plate. What do you guys think of Marjorie? Is she just playing the game? Or is she a real kingpin who clawed her way into a rich man's arms? I'm glad someone is speaking the truth about her because she acts so brand new, as if she wasn't from the streets. Now people can understand why Lori is a roundaway girl like her mama. And another quote is that no matter what she wears, she can't hide who she really is. Don't click off without liking and subscribing, okay? Let's start a discussion in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, caddies.